Hello, I'm Darielle Snipes with the Cmsd News Bureau. You're watching another edition of Talk to the CEO. This election, the Cleveland Metropolitan School District is asking voters to approve Issue 68. It is a renewal of a $15 million tax levy and a $5 million increase. This issue is vital if CMSD is to continue the progress the district has made under the Cleveland Plan and shoulder costs brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic. Joining me now is CMSD CEO Eric Gordon to talk about why this levy is so important for the future of our scholars and what will happen if it is defeated. Welcome, Eric. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Well, Cleveland School District residents will head to the polls on November 3rd to vote on this critical tax issue. Early voting, as you know, is happening right now, so many people are casting their ballots as we speak. Can you just explain why Issue 68 is so important to the district?
Sure. So Issue 68 is a renewal of the $15 million tax issue we passed for the first time in 2012 and renewed in 2016, plus a small increase of $5 million to keep up with inflation because levies don't otherwise do so. That represents 12% of our net operating budget, and if it were to be voted down, we would have to make drastic cuts in all of the successes we've gained since 2012.
But these are uncertain times. We're going through a pandemic, as we all know. Why do it now?
Yeah, so this is a really important question. The first answer is we had no choice. If we did nothing, the levy would expire on December 31st, and we would immediately lose $66 million of revenue a year, 12% of our budget. So the question wasn't whether we should ask now or later. The question was, what should we ask for? So the second part of that is, why would we do an increase in this period of time? And it's about being transparent and honest. We have not increased our taxes in 8 years. The tax does not keep up with inflation. It stays flat, so it's collecting the same amount it collected 8 years ago. And if I had come to the community and said, pass Issue 68 as a $15 million levy, I would have been then immediately making programmatic cuts as soon as it passed. And that just didn't feel very honest. It feels like we need to say to the community, here's the real challenge in front of us, here's what we need to do to address it, and ask the real questions so that voters can make an informed and fair decision.
So, but if it passes, a large share of the money will be gone pretty quickly because of current events. So how will this impact the district?
Well, when it passes, we know that we would be forecasting our revenue to be in the black for the next 4 years. That obviously depends on lots of variables, what happens in state aid, if there's more federal stimulus, but it will hold us whole for 4 years, even in the pandemic. But the pandemic's cost the district a great deal, and so part of what would have otherwise been planned for kind of normal expenses is now being switched over to addressing the pandemic.
So just put it in perspective. Obviously the $15 million is a renewal, so that's something that the voters are already paying for right now, so they won't see an increase. Obviously the $5 million is the increase, so put it into perspective. What will that mean for voters when it comes to paying for the mill if it passes?
Sure. So for voters who own a home in Cleveland, the average home value is $45,000 as assessed by the county, and that homeowner will be asked to pay $7 more a month. I live in Cleveland. I have a home that's a little bit beyond that. I'll be paying probably about $20 a month.
So that's reasonable, possibly, in someone's budget.
Well, nobody wants to pay more taxes. Nobody wants to pay more anything. But our rents have gone up over 8 years, and that wasn't due to our school taxes. Groceries have gone up. Like the inflation has been 1.7, 1.8% a year for 8 years, while the district has seen no inflation. And so, Ohio's structure causes these long runs and then heavy lifts, and that's where we are right now. But we did work to keep it as small as possible, that's $7 a month for the average homeowner.
And so if approved, what will that mean for CMSD?
Well, if it's approved, and when it's approved, it's going to do a few things. One is it's going to let us to continue to invest in improving quality of programs, so deepening our pre-for-CLE commitment, our early childhood 3- and 4-year-old commitment, expanding our advanced placement courses as we've been doing over the last several years, investing in curriculum, those sorts of things. The second is it's going to continue to accelerate the progress. Our reading and math scores are up across the district. We're among the fastest improving school district in that area. Our graduation rate's over 80% now, up from 52% when we passed the issue the first time. And our Black and Hispanic students graduate at higher rates than their peers statewide by a pretty significant margin. So it buys quality. It will also continue to keep our class sizes at reasonable sizes. Those who were in Cleveland before issue 107 originally will remember 40 and 45 kids in a classroom. And keep those quality teachers that we have in the system and those hardworking men and women that are doing courageous work right now. It'll allow us to invest in technology. We have, through the coronavirus, had to become a one-to-one district. We need to stay a one-to-one district, so we have to budget to replace a quarter of those devices every year because devices have a 4-year life. Then finally, it'll continue our investment in the Say Yes to Education, the mental health supports, the physical health supports, legal supports, after-school programming, all of those things that help block and tackle for poverty. And the district contributes a significant amount to the in-school supports that Say Yes provides.
Now, I know you don't want to think about the other side if it doesn't fail, but just give our viewers a glimpse of what will happen if it doesn't pass.
Yeah, I think it's really important to first say that we are not going to run any kind of an issue that is a scare campaign or a threat to the community. However, there are some realities. We have to file a financial recovery plan with the state of Ohio. That is required. We will be doing that at our board meetings this month of October. The board has to publicly vote on it, and that's so that the board is aware that we can balance the budget, however we must, and that the community is aware of the challenge. So what's at stake? We really have 3 areas we can look at. More school closures, and we just went through a really rigorous community discussion about what the community wanted, but we would have to go back and look at more closures. Program cuts, things like what I've already mentioned, early childhood, extracurriculars, transportation, things that matter. And employee layoffs across the organization from the very top to the line worker, the operations personnel, larger class sizes again. So again, not trying to scare or threaten our community. That's never going to be our strategy, but we do have to publish that report and acknowledge what's at risk if we don't pass the issue. And that's why we have to pass it.
That's right. So just what do you want to say to the viewers as they head to the polls in the coming weeks and on November 3rd as to why this is so important?
Well, look, we've seen some opposition talking about how this is going to hurt renters, homeowners, and small businesses. And certainly, again, no one wants to pay a tax. But the reality is that we already are the single highest childhood poverty city in the country. We're the single worst connected city in the country from a digital divide. We're the 9th most racially segregated community in the country. If we want to solve those problems, we do not do it by decimating education. We do it by educating. And that rents will go up when we have a higher educated population living and working in the city. Our home values go up when our education system is better. Small businesses are getting better trained and prepared workforce. All of that is at risk, and so not only is it just right to do by children, and particularly our community who is 86% minority and 100% poverty, it's also a smart business move if we are a homeowner like I am in Cleveland and want to protect our value.
That's right. I mean, it also closes the gap, as you mentioned, and the brain drain. So you keep people here in Cleveland to contribute to the economy, would you say?
Yeah, well, and I think we need to remember that this community has stepped up in a huge way with the Say Yes to Education scholarships. It's a $125 million fund, not the districts, we don't own the money, but a fund to make sure that every qualified graduate of the district who lives in the district and goes through 4 years of high school with us will get a tuition scholarship to trade school 2-year or 4 years for the next 25 years. And that means that over time we're going to have an increasingly educated workforce who live and work in Cleveland, and that's how you turn around an economy. You don't turn around an economy by getting a scholarship fund in place, providing supports for kids and families, and then taking away the education. That's why we've got to keep this progress going.
Well, I'm all done with my questions unless there's something else you'd like to add.
I just want to thank the Cleveland community. This is an amazing community, a resilient community. We've seen it in how we're responding to COVID-19. I fully hope and expect we're going to see it again at the ballot box. People know the importance of education, and they know the ethical responsibility to all of Cleveland's citizens. And so I just want to say thank you for all of the efforts and all of the support over these years, and I look forward to that support as we vote early to pass issue 68.
Right, and make sure people get out to vote, right?
That's right.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.